There's a headline making some serious waves in geopolitical circles, and it's a bombshell. A major strategic alliance is being declared dead. But the full story isn't just about something ending. It's about what comes next, an immediate replacement, a kind of geopolitical succession playing out right before our eyes. And here it is, straight from Foreign Policy magazine, as blunt as it gets. The Quad is dead. Now, this suggests a massive shift is happening in the Indo-Pacific, which, as you know, is that critical strategic region connecting the Indian and Pacific Oceans. But to really get what this means, we have to look at the phrase that often comes right after a declaration like this. You've heard the phrase, "The king is dead, long live the king," right? It's that classic proclamation that means the second one ruler is gone, another one instantly takes their place. The throne is never empty. The institution itself continues, even if the person on top changes. And according to this analysis, that is exactly what's happening to the Quad. All right, so let's make sure we're all on the same page. The old Quad, the one being declared dead, is that strategic dialogue between India, Australia, Japan, and the United States. For years, this group has been talked about as a cornerstone of strategy in the Indo-Pacific. So why the sudden obituary? What's going on here? Well, the source material points to a huge shift in American foreign policy, something that's being called the G2 effect. So what in the world is G2? Well, it refers to this idea of a grand partnership between the two biggest players on the world stage, the United States and China. The thinking goes that if these two can just work together, they can pretty much manage all the world's biggest problems. And apparently, this idea is gaining some serious momentum in Washington. And listen, this isn't just some abstract theory. You can hear it in the language coming from top officials. A recent statement from the administration claimed that relations between China and the U.S. have never been better. That's not just polite diplomatic talk, that's a signal of a major strategic realignment. And this is coming from the very top. President Trump himself is using the term. He actually called his recent summit with Chairman Xi a historic G2 meeting. He's basically framing the entire relationship through this new G2 lens. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. The source points out something crucial. While American officials are all about this G2 talk, their Chinese counterparts, total silence. The term never, ever appears in their official statements or state media. It kind of seems like a very one-sided conversation, doesn't it? So if the old Quad is fading away because of this new focus on a G2 world, who's taking its place? Well, this brings us to an emerging alliance that some are already calling the new Quad. Now, the change looks simple, but trust me, it is incredibly significant. You can see it right here. 3 members stay the same: the US, Japan, and Australia. But here's the crucial difference. India is out, and the Philippines is in. And this isn't just a membership swap. We're talking about a whole different level of function and urgency. This new group, with the Philippines, has already held 2 defense minister meetings this year alone. Now get this, the original Quad, in its entire history, has never once held a meeting of its defense ministers. Not once. That fact alone just tells you everything you need to know about the difference in focus here. So what's the driving force behind this new group? It's a shared and very urgent sense of danger. For Japan, the Philippines, and Australia, the perceived threat from China isn't just some abstract strategic problem, it's seen as existential. It's happening right on their doorstep. And just to make this threat feel a little more real, the source points to a map that went viral on Chinese social media. It basically shows a future where places like Japan, the Philippines, and even Australia and New Zealand are all absorbed into a Chinese sphere of influence. Now, whether that's official policy or not, it's the kind of thing that fuels some serious anxiety across the entire region. So this brings us to the big question, right? For the country that's suddenly on the outside looking in this new geopolitical math, where does a country like India fit? According to the source, India is just in a totally different league. I mean, think about it. It's got a powerful, independent military, the massive geographic buffer of the Himalayas, it's a nuclear power. All of this gives India a kind of strategic leverage that the other nations just don't have. It's simply not as reliant on the US for its own security. And here's the bottom line, the crucial point. If the main foreign policy goal for the US is to build a friendly partnership with China, then a strong, independent India, which was once seen as a vital counterbalance to China, suddenly becomes, well, less essential to the American game plan. And look, the evidence for this decline has been piling up for a while. You had big promises, like a Quad satellite launch that just went nowhere. You have respected think tanks writing reports about the shrinking of the Quad. Their meetings are few and far between, usually just happening on the sidelines of other events. And now, a major summit that was planned in India seems to be off the table. The momentum has definitely stalled out. So, the case for the Quad's demise seems pretty strong, doesn't it? But is that the end of the story? Well, the author of our source material offers a very, very different take. And it's really important to note what comes next is the author's own personal prediction. It's a direct counterargument to this whole narrative we've been exploring. They believe that reports of the Quad's death have been, well, greatly exaggerated. Here's their prediction for how the Quad gets revived, laid out in 3 steps. First, they say this G2 honeymoon is going to end, and that China will eventually turn on the US. Second, this will lead to a major geopolitical shock, most likely something happening over Taiwan. And third, in that moment of crisis, the US will suddenly rediscover the immense strategic value of having a powerful, independent India on its side. So their final conclusion is a really powerful one. The Quad isn't dead. Instead, it's in a temporary coma. A coma put there by the specific foreign policy of the current U.S. administration. And a coma, of course, implies it's not gone forever. It's just waiting for the right moment to be woken up. And that leaves us with the ultimate question. Is the Quad just in a temporary coma, a strategic pause that it will eventually awaken from? Or are we actually witnessing the beginning of a brand new geopolitical era in the Indo-Pacific?